Let's talk about the Trump administration for a second. What would you like the Trump administration to do vis-a-vis Georgia, and what do you think it has been doing?
I think with the we do have a little bit of an impasse, I would say, when it comes to whether or not there is a strategy or the policy vis-a-vis Georgia right now. Perhaps as many talk about it, there are too many big issues right now that are played out in terms of the foreign policy related issues. But at the same time, my plea would be the following. Georgia matters. Georgia is part of an increasing part of the security of the Black Sea area, but more than that, when it comes to that convergence right now of the processes in Central Asia, in Caucasus, in Black Sea, as a way of creating that alternative pathway away from Russia, where the transit of energy, goods, rare earth minerals, and then the political association with U.S. rather than with Russia could be the new reality in this region. Georgia is becoming an outlier right now. We have, surprisingly because of where Georgia stood before, Georgia is completely left out from the discourse, where we have a process in which C6 now, rather than C5 Central Asian countries, which used to be Central Asia plus Azerbaijan, now is C6, as it's called, has its own discourse of relationship with the U.S., diversifying again the regional potential for independence in the way that would be distancing itself from Russia in a very significant way. We have a very successful development between Armenia and Azerbaijan when it comes to the peace deals, historic breakthrough, which has happened with the leadership of the two nations, but then quite a bit of support from the United States, as we see now when it comes to development of actual infrastructure that would cement that peace with economic development and then infrastructural development. And Georgia now might not seem to be a problem to these positive developments because, it still acts as a transit country. It doesn't make too much of a problem. But I guess what is still not fully understood is how much of a proxy Georgian government currently is for Russia. And then at any time when Russia will be in a position to look back, because now it's very busy because of the war in Ukraine, Russia will undermine or will attempt to undermine these positive developments through different action perhaps, but through Georgia as well. So my plea here would be that change of the political situation in Georgia, where there could be a possibility for the Georgian people freely to elect the government, could be essential for Georgia to be back on track of the normal development. And for that to happen, we need a bit of an equalizer, so to say, of the current situation, restraining order for those who doesn't allow for that to happen. And then the Megobari Act, which has almost passed in Congress, bipartisan act, by the way, which puts Georgia into the agenda and then creates the possibility of sanctioning of those individuals, among other provisions that might be jeopardizing that possibility, could be a step forward. So rather than speculating how Georgian dream could be dealt with in the way that it could become more democratic or more civil or more, independent from Russian links, it's better to give a chance to the Georgian people to exercise its democratic right of electing the government in a free way, because Georgian people are very strongly in the right direction in terms of the mindset. And then in that regard, as previously, it would be in the future as well, that Georgia will be a very strong and reliable partner and ally for the U.S. when it comes to the foreign policy priorities, and then when it comes to the overall security of the region as well, including in the Black Sea area.